Hey, I want to be a comic artist. How much do I need to draw? You really want to know? In stories, characters always have a want and a need. And this actually applies to real life as well. As an example, you want to draw comics. So in order to do so, you will need to draw pages. A lot. Like an unholy amount of drawing. But how much exactly? Let's take a closer look. Hey folks, welcome to the Saigami Project. I'm Sunny, a full-time comic creator published and serialized in Saturday AM, and I also do a bunch of freelancing, like I'm one of the artists for Curtis channel, and so on and so on. So, you wanna be a comic creator. Cool. Cool. Now, let me ask you a question. How serious are you about it? Let's put it on a scale saying 1 is, I just kinda sorta wanna try it for funsies, and 10 being,
I'ma die while drawing manga, believe it.
Why am I asking this? Just like for everything else, I think it's very important to understand where you're coming from, what your motivation is, and likewise, what is the goal you wish to achieve. In short, what is your want related to comic drawing? Alright, so if you have your scale number, let's take a look at it. Say you're in the smaller digits, like 1 to 4. You just want to draw comics for fun, to just capture stories, but you don't really want to make it into a career or, say, monetize it. Congratulations, you qualify as a hobbyist. Please draw to your heart's content and don't feel limited in quantity or frequency. Friendly reminder, being called a hobby artist shouldn't be used as a slur. There's nothing wrong with creating art as a hobby. In fact, oftentimes, it's the best you can do with your creative ambitions. Just because you're good at something, it doesn't mean it must be used for monetizations or career ambitions. Please, keep on doing art that makes you happy. You see, the smaller your want is, the smaller your need requirement will be. If you're one of those creators who just drops a few pages every now and then, you're dealing with way less commitment and demand since it's all for fun and no serious business. This is how the majority of webcomics started out over a decade ago, actually. And to this day, there are thousands of artists out there who enjoy being hobby creators. There are a lot of perks of being a hobbyist, and the majority of artists tend to end up in this category. Maybe touching into monetizing a bit, but not going fully into the career level. And there's nothing wrong with that either. But for this video, I also want to focus on the case when your wants are met with a serious need. If your number was anywhere from 5 to 10, you probably want to be a comic creator seriously. Part-time or full-time, you want that sweet published creator life. Buckle up and let's take a look at the numbers. You know what? We're gonna start with the Japanese model, aka the do not try this at home version of being a comic artist. Side note, this math also pretty much applies to weekly webtoon serialization as well. Weekly Shonen Jump. If you're into manga, you probably know this magazine. Comes out weekly, but they also take breaks 4 times a year, so in total they run 48 issues per year. Each issue is supposed to have 19 pages long chapters of a series. 19 times 48 adds up to 912 pages a year. In some cases, chapters might have extra pages or additional content for tankobons or collected volumes, so give or take, I'm gonna round this up to a number of 920 for easier math. A year has 365 days, most of the times, so basically a weekly creator has to draw an average of 2.5 pages every single day. It doesn't matter if it's a weekend or if they're sick or is it their birthday or they lost someone, the number have to add up in the end. Of course, any manga artist published in bigger magazines will work with assistants, so let's say they only need to do about, let's say, half of the work. I'm gonna stick with half since they still have to do a lot of brain work and planning and meetings, but we'll cover this in a different video. That's still about 460 pages per year, give or take the content for 2 published volumes. And given that most of you are presumably not Japanese and won't work in the Japanese manga industry, this is the number we're most interested in, and this is the only reason I brought up this example of the Japanese industry. 2 volumes per year. That is a doable goal, but if you are a solo artist, you're probably gonna work your butt off to meet this goal. For me, the average time to do a page, scratch to finish, is about 6 hours. Sometimes less, most of the times more. So doing the math, in order to produce 2 volumes, I'm looking at 53 hours of work each week for a year. Let's say I would like to take my weekends off to spend time with my wife or do any activities next to drawing. I'm looking at 10.6 hours of drawing each day. And that is just non-stop actual drawing, not staring at the screen or browsing Pinterest for inspiration, just pure drawing without stopping or lifting your pen off the screen or paper, depends on your style. If you add in essential breaks for food, stretching, petting dogs, cats, plants, other human needs, you're easily looking at 12-hour workdays. And once again, this is without taking a week off. So, no vacations, no sick days, sick weeks, just you and your wanting to make 2 volumes a year. I know, there are probably many among you who will be like, oh, I love drawing, I can easily do more than 12 hours a day. But a friendly reminder, even your passion can become repetitive and monotonous when you're doing it as an actual chore. It is for a reason many professional artists deal with burnout or quit the field and try other creative areas instead of comic books. It's hard AF work that's often not lucrative enough. Depending on your contract, you might be working months without actually seeing a bigger payout, and often you have to keep everything a secret, so you can't even get that sweet social media instant gratification for your hard efforts. And don't get me wrong, I'm not giving you this to scare you away. I'm here to give you the real picture. Not everyone can keep up with this demand. In the West, it's more realistic to aim for 1 big graphic novel a year or several smaller issues. Naturally, my experience lies in the manga-inspired industry, so I'm gonna stick to the 200-ish page-long collective volumes. Now, let's say we lower the bar a little. A single volume a year is still about 25 hours of work each week, following the previous math example. So it's a solid part-time job. If this is what you're aiming for, you can also have a more stable part-time day job next to it, or other gigs running on the side like commissions, conventions, passive income sources, and so on. However, you have to know, if your speed is 1 volume a year, you're looking at hard competition and a very long project reduction timeline. Let's say you have an ambitious story idea that's 30 volumes. You're now looking at 30 years. Most of you probably didn't even live that much yet. So I want you to seriously think through this timeline. Some of us might not even live another 30 years. Not to be grim here, of course. I just want you to know your time is precious and there's only as much wants and needs you can fulfill in this one life. I'm gonna be real here. I hate math. But if you have ambitions of an artistic career, you will need to do some numbers. I've met so many young aspiring comic artists whose dreams I just had to crush because it's literally mathematically impossible for them to finish stories of 100+ volumes. So before you jump into a project, just take a few minutes and try to be realistic with yourself. How much time does each task take you, and how will that add up in the long run? Can you really commit? The adrenaline of starting something new and exciting will run out fast. Will you be able to work on discipline alone? These are not as easy as you think it is. And the numbers I'm giving you is just purely for drawing, not really touching into writing, lettering, editing, fixes and modifications for printing and other form of publication, marketing, and so on and so on. Sadly, drawing comics is not as easy as just sitting down and drawing to your heart content if you want to do it seriously. How much will you need to draw for making comics? Probably more than you imagined. Is it worth it? If you truly have your heart in it, it can be. But the road won't be easy, and I want everyone to know what you're signing up for. Excitement and adrenaline can only take you that far, so I advise all future comic artists to be prepared and plan ahead accordingly. For starters, these quick tips can help you prepare. Use a stopwatch and see how much time it takes you to finish a page to know your performance speed better. Of course, over time you will improve as well, but for starting, it's wise to know your speed and limitations. Try to schedule accordingly. Always give yourself more time what you think you'll need. Don't forget to take breaks. It is crucial to prevent you from burnout and health problems. A good stretch and a glass of water every hour can save you from major long-term issues. Well, this video kind of turned out to be a little bit darker than I expected, but I think it's also important to know that drawing comics, manga, webcomics, webtoons, you name it, is not always rainbows and sunshine. This video is probably just a quick look into hard math that I just really wanted to get out of the way so I can build future videos on some of the information here. I will touch more into project scheduling and management going forward, so trust me, more useful videos are coming. If you enjoy the content I'm making here, likes, subscribes, shares, and comments can help my work and the channel tremendously, and I really appreciate it all. If you want to further support my works, the best way to do so is pre-ordering my book Saigami Volume 1 Rockport Edition, coming out in June thanks to the Quarter groups and Saturday AM. Also, huge thanks to all of my lovely supporters on Patreon. You guys are amazing. And if you too want to see your name here in my videos, hit the link below to see my tiers on Patreon. Mandatory self-promotion over. Thank you for staying until the end, and if you're still here, put a fire emoji in the comments below to show that you're a true Saigami Project YouTube bestie. Stay safe, keep creating, and keep on making art that makes you happy. Bye!